This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. We are in the thick of road construction season here in Winnipeg. It's not just commuters who are feeling the effects. CBC's Zubina Ahmed brings us the story of two local businesses feeling the pinch.
This beautiful cozy cafe in the West End has one of the best sourdough breads in the city. But this week, Ida Bakery had no choice but to close down. Owner Mac Parman says the construction work in their front lane is a hindrance for customers.
It's basically completely shut us down because we haven't been able to have customers come in.
Parman says the construction started about a month ago in July. They say it's been frustrating to hear the noise, see the debris and smoke all day.
Having customers come in and out wouldn't be safe. Like if somebody were to trip or something, like there's a massive hole there. It's like we don't want anybody to get hurt.
Parman says the city of Winnipeg hasn't given a definite date for when it will end. They plan to bake whatever they have now and donate to local resource centers until they open next week.
The city claims to really care about small business, but like this is how we're being treated. And it just kind of feels like a bit of a slap in the face to us and them.
The construction is also crippling business at Doug and Betty's Ice Creamery at Demeraux Street in St. Boniface. Owner Chris Kurak is frustrated with the non-stop construction work there since June. He says his bottom line is hit hard by road closures and detours.
It's scaring people away. The parking lot's not accessible. Even coming down the road, it just looks like you can't turn into the back lane. It's really a challenge. I mean, we're supposed to be our busy season between June and October, and they picked like exactly our busy season to do all this construction.
Kurak says he only got a 2-week notice before the work started. He says the pace of work is slow and won't end until November.
So it's definitely a challenge. The staff are making less money, the business is making less money. We're doing winter sales right now in summer. It's kind of sad when you think of it.
For local business owners like Parman and Kurak, first it was the pandemic which slowed the business, but now it is the construction season which is keeping their customers away. Zubina Ahmed, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The City of Winnipeg put out a release today asking the public to please be patient with construction work and to be kind to each other. The Manitoba Heavy Construction Association applauds that move. Association head Chris Lawrence says in the 32 years he's been in the industry, he's never before seen the city put out a release like that, asking drivers to respect the rules around road construction. Lawrence says everyone deserves a safe workplace. Every government-owned liquor mart in Manitoba will be closed this weekend, marking the first across-the-board shutdown since an ongoing labor dispute started July 19th. There were lineups today outside the Hargrave and Ellis location, one of the only liquor marts in Winnipeg that remained open today. The Manitoba Liquor and Lotteries website shows all 63 stores in the province will be closed Saturday and Sunday. Many of the people who lined up waiting to get into stores over the noon hour today didn't want to talk to us about the weekend closures. Maybe they were supposed to be at work at that moment. But some did say, as that we spoke to, they drove a long distance to find an open store.
Well, all the other liquor stores are closed, and there's only about 2 of them open way on the south side of the city.
It's not really the major inconvenience. If it goes on too long, it probably will be.
Well, Birds Hill one is they're depleted with the stock, right? So
you're having to come quite a distance.
And it's it's a long lineup. So
wages have been a main sticking point in this labor dispute between Liquor and Lotteries and the MGEU. This week marks 9 years since the body of Tina Fontaine was pulled from the Red River. The 15-year-old's death led to national outrage and a renewed focus on missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. At the Forks last night, dozens of people braved the rain to hold a memorial.
It's insane because you think 9 years ago when this happened and there were lots of cries for change and whatnot, and we need to look after our girls more. Police need to step up. Our legal system needs to get better. And here we are almost a decade later, and nothing has changed. I'd argue it's almost gotten worse.
That's Jessica Corshane we were speaking with. She says it was good to see such strong support at last night's memorial. A man named Raymond Cormier was charged with Tina's murder, but he was acquitted in February 2018. That was not Raymond we showed you on the screen. In fact, no one has ever been convicted in Tina Fontaine's death. RCMP say they rescued a woman from Niagara Falls Sunday who they believe was being held against her will. Police in Ontario asked the Mounties to stop a vehicle that was heading west on Highway 16. RCMP say they spotted it east of Neepawa and eventually used a spike belt to stop it. The driver ran away, but officers found the woman unhurt. They say they also found 4,800 unmarked cigarettes in the vehicle. Police arrested a 45-year-old man at a motel in Brandon the next day. He faces many charges, including forcible confinement. Manitoba's three main political parties ended their week making some election promises. The new commitments are about missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, the carbon tax, and support for businesses. CBC's Ian Fraze is following politics for us. He joins us now live from the newsroom to break down the latest batch of promises. So Ian, let's start with how the NDP is trying to address the MMIWG crisis.
Yeah, the NDP made a few commitments today on that subject, including opening emergency drop-in centres in Winnipeg, Brandon, and Thompson. The party made the announcement today at the Forks in front of a monument for murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls. They say these drop-in centres, which would be for Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people, would provide emergency help. The NDP is also promising to reinstate the job of the government's special advisor on MMIWG. St. John's MLA Nahani Fontaine, who previously held that job, says those families have felt ignored under the Tories.
I don't think that it's necessarily one thing that is going to end the crisis or epidemic levels of violence against Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirited. It is going to be a series of things that we are committed to that will do that. And this is just the beginning stages of that.
Now, one of Heather Stephenson's first acts as Premier was saying she would not appeal a court ruling that said Ottawa could impose its carbon tax on Manitoba. But now she's threatening a court fight on the tax. What is that all about, Ian?
Yeah, well, rather than going after the entire carbon tax in court, Stephenson says she'll fight to eliminate the tax on natural gas. The PC leader is arguing Manitobans shouldn't pay the tax since the province mostly relies on renewable hydroelectric energy.
That's why a re-elected progressive conservative government will stop at nothing to eliminate the carbon tax on Manitoba Hydro, including the federal government. We'll take them to court if we need to.
Meanwhile, the Liberals are promising to start a Manitoba Business Development Bank. It'll give financing to help businesses get off the ground.
Whether or not your business can get investment should never, ever depend on your political stripe or whether you happen to live in the right constituency.
The bank will have $100 million to play with at the beginning. Janet.
Thank you so much for this. That's our Ian Fraze reporting live from the newsroom tonight. Winnipeg police are asking for help solving two separate homicides. It's been 3 years since 30-year-old Anthony Gonzalez was fatally assaulted by a group of people outside a business on St. Matthews Avenue in the Polo Park area. Police believe there were several witnesses present. And this weekend also marks 1 year since 28-year-old Sydney Chubb was found severely injured on the sidewalk of the Osborne Street Bridge. He died about a week later. Police want anyone with information about either murder to contact them or to contact Crime Stoppers anonymously. Staff at Manitoba's two largest colleges have voted to ratify a new contract. It covers nearly 1,900 instructors and support staff at Red River College Polytechnic and Assiniboine Community College in Brandon. The 4-year deal with the MGEU Local 73 includes salary increases of 2% per year, signing bonuses, and an extra pay step at the top of the scale for every classification. It's time now to check in with our weather specialist, Marjorie Dowhouse. Very important forecast, you know, it's the weekend, lots to see and do, and even stuff to see in the skies this weekend.
That's right, Janet. There is a special show in the sky. We're talking about the Perseid meteor shower. Let's take a look now at what this is. Well, this is debris from Comet Swift-Tuttle. So you could actually see quite a few meteors in the sky, between 50 to 100 meteors per hour. So a few every minute or a couple minutes. It's going to be absolutely spectacular. One-of-a-kind show like this. A darker sky because we are just a few days away from a new moon. So that's the darkest phase of the moon, which means there won't be a lot of light distracting, taking away from the meteor shower, which means you're going to see quite the show and brighter meteors. And the best time to see it here in Manitoba, late on Saturday, overnight into Sunday. So what is the sky going to look like here? Well, if you are in northern Manitoba, you're going to see a clear sky pretty much almost all weekend. This is Saturday morning. There's the clear sky. We will see a little bit of cloud cover here in the south. And then there is the chance of showers later on in the day here on Saturday. You can see 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday. What we're focusing on here, though, is what the sky will look like late on Saturday and into Sunday. We'll take a look at this. We are looking at a little bit of a break in the cloud after midnight on Saturday. Here in the south, clear up to the north, so you can see that meteor shower in all its glory. But then we'll start to see some increasing cloud on Sunday. There's a chance of more showers on Sunday here. The sky won't actually start to clear out until Monday. Current temperatures right now, we're at 20 degrees here in Winnipeg. We've seen showers off and on throughout the day, but the clouds did break up later today. We had some sunny breaks, mostly cloudy right now. Wind out of the northwest at about 17. Here's a look now at the satellite radar, and you can see the spotty showers, the cloud cover we had here, sunshine up to the north. Tonight here in Winnipeg, fog patches developing overnight. There is still the chance of a shower under a mainly cloudy sky. 13 degrees, windy as well, west wind 20, at times gusting to 40. Tomorrow morning, we're going to see a mostly cloudy sky, 15 degrees around 8 o'clock. Might see the clouds breaking up a little bit, but there is, as I showed you in Futurecast, chance of a shower later on in the afternoon, a high of 21 degrees. Looking now at the regional forecast, sunshine up in the north tomorrow, highs around 20 degrees. There is a chance of afternoon showers out to the west in Swan River, Dauphin, Brandon, highs of 21, 22. Also the risk of a thunderstorm as well. We'll start off the day here with fog. That will dissipate later on in the morning. Chance of showers here in the afternoon with the risk of a thunderstorm. Highs around 19 degrees in Gimli, 23 for Emerson, 22 in Steinbach. And out in northwestern Ontario, a good chance you're going to see some showers there with the risk of a thunderstorm. Looking at a high of around 19 degrees in Kenora, 21 in Red Lake, and Fort Frances 19 as well in Dryden. Janet, I'm going to have your extended forecast coming up later on in the show.
We look forward to it. Thank you, Marjorie. A documentary celebrating Winnipeg artist Jordan Van Zyl premieres tonight on our free streaming service CBC Gem. There will also be a public screening tomorrow night on the second floor of the Forks Market. On a sunny day earlier this week, I sat down with the artist outside his home to discuss Moral Injuries, the art of Jordan Van Zyl. So how do you feel about this documentary coming out?
It's pretty exciting, you know, to be profiled in a documentary that also celebrates this beautiful city that we live in.
There's a line that I've seen in the trailer.
It's art, for God's sake. Try living without it.
What would life without art be like for you?
Unimaginable, really. I can't, you know, because there's art in everything. There's, you know, just the aesthetic of the world, the way it's put together. You can't help but look at it and admire it and know that it's not happenstance. Like we're looking at art, you know. And
but there's something in you that lets you see that not everybody has that gift to see the art.
Well, you know, and I guess that does come into the idea of moral injuries and looking at those things, looking at things as art and putting them in my own terms.
What do you hope we get from the documentary? We walk away feeling?
Well, I guess the best thing that could come out of a documentary would be that viewers understand that Manitoba is actually full of people like me, and that it's a wonderful place, and that when you come across someone who has obviously chosen a path that maybe you don't understand yourself or would like to know more about, you should talk to these people. An enhanced and different view on things is always, it can lead to a greater understanding of our situation, and that's what we need right now. The healing aspect of the divisions that we now are faced with in our, what we thought was just a tranquil life. You think, oh my God. So, somehow I think art can work an important thread throughout that. In the world of art, you can do anything you want. In the medium of clay, it's, you're working with a material that was cast when the mountains were ground down 180 million years ago. So I have a responsible position of making stuff, and for me lately I've been able to put it into some personal terms that explore some universal ideas. The current film titled Moral Injuries started to evolve out of childhood traumas, of course. And when I began to think about, even if it was tongue-in-cheek, about the things that happen to people and how different people's ability to either succumb or overcome these perils really molds and shapes the way they are. It's art. It's supposed to make people think about things and make people happy. And, look good on a mantle.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can stream Moral Injuries, the art of Jordan Van Sewell, tonight on CBC Gem. It will also air here on the main CBC network tomorrow night at 8. And if you'd like to join that public viewing tomorrow at the Forks, be there by 7:30 p.m. Hawaii's governor says at least 55 people are confirmed dead as wildfires rage on the island of Maui. None of the fires there burning right now is under control. It's unclear how many people are still missing. We'll bring you the very latest after the break. The number of people killed by wildfires on the Hawaiian island of Maui is now at least 55. More than 1,700 homes and buildings have been destroyed. And as Lindsay Duncombe reports, no one knows yet how many people are missing or unaccounted for.
With no phone, no internet, the only way for people on Maui to know if their homes are still standing is to show up and find out. The news is grim.
This is our first time coming back and actually knowing that our house burned down.
People lost everything, homes, jobs, their cars, some their pets. There's still people missing.
The task for rescue crews searching rubble, looking for people who didn't make it out. The fire moved so fast, fueled by winds so strong, there's little doubt people were trapped.
We are seeing loss of life here. As you know, the number has been rising and we will continue to see loss of life.
There is an urgent need to get supplies to people stranded and homeless in the heat.
We need formula, diapers, ice, water, and just food.
What's going through your mind right now?
I'm a little worried because I have a 4-month-old and a 2-year-old.
The governor called this the largest natural disaster in Hawaii's history. It will take more time to figure out just how devastating the damage, how crippling the loss. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Vancouver.
Back in this country, BC is bracing for another heat wave this weekend, which could increase the risk of more fires there. There are still 400 wildfires burning in the province. Federal ministers were in BC today announcing new funding to help in the fight.
This will help to train 25 instructors to deliver wildfire response training programs in Kamloops, which I understand happened as recently as last week, which will equip over 300 structural firefighters from across Canada with the skills, the expertise, and the knowledge they need to fight dangerous interface fires.
It's the first phase of a fire training pilot project through a program in BC's southern interior. Its goal is to deliver consistent and effective wildfire responses. Ottawa says it will also partner with the International Firefighters Association to provide training courses in 5 locations across Western Canada. The world will be watching in the coming weeks to see if Ukraine can implement the humanitarian shipping corridor it announced yesterday. The intention is to free cargo ships from what is effectively a Russian blockade of Ukraine's Black Sea ports. CBC's Abby Kuovasan reports.
Ukraine has made this announcement unilaterally, saying that this is for civilian ships, passenger ships, but also cargo vessels that have been trapped in the country's ports since Russia's large-scale invasion began last year. And some officials, Ukrainian officials, saying that cameras will be installed on these ships, essentially to prove that these are for humanitarian purposes and not military operations. But we have to remember, Russia's Navy controls these waters, and since the Kremlin pulled out of the UN brokered grain deal last month, Russian forces have ramped up attacks on Ukrainian ports. And they've also said, the Kremlin has said, that any ships in the area will be considered military targets. So when you think about international shipping companies, and particularly insurance companies, they're going to be very reluctant to participate in this. We know that Mart, one of the big insurers that provided coverage for Ukrainian grain ships under this UN deal, they backed out when the deal fell through, and it's unlikely, analysts say, that any insurance companies will return. And perhaps this is just a way for Ukraine to highlight that Russia is blocking its exports of grain, which the world very much needs. Abby Kuovasan, CBC News, Berlin.
Okay, this just into our newsroom. Manitoba Liquor and Lottery says the Crestview Liquor Mart on Portage and the St. Vital Square Liquor Mart on Dakota Street will be open tomorrow from noon to 5. We'll be right back.
Well, we're looking at a wet weekend here in Winnipeg. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a chance of showers in the afternoon and a high of 21. Cloudy again on Sunday, showers. 24 degrees on Monday. That's when we can see the sunshine return. And then look at that. Temperatures a little bit cooler on Tuesday with a chance of showers and a high of 20. Chance of showers once again on Thursday, you can see there, and a high of 20 degrees. So temperatures a little bit cooler, but we'll see a little bit of seasonal mix in there. Well, Janet, it is August and summer may be winding down.
It might just be, but things are looking up still in Bristol, England. Here's tonight's Daily Lift. This weekend is the annual Bristol International Balloon Fiesta. Bad weather caused the cancellation of yesterday's show, but today, balloons are in the air. This is indeed Europe's largest free hot air balloon festival, and it runs through Sunday.
Very cool.
Beautiful sight, absolutely.
Yeah.
I bet you it'll be a crazy sight at the liquor marts, 2 of them that are open in Winnipeg tomorrow. Crestview and Portage, St. Vital Square from 12 to 5. Be kind to your neighbors and staff. Good night.
Good night.